Welcome to Buckets. My name is Matt Moore. I'm a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. Back with you here for another week as we troll through the NBA offseason. But you know what? It is September when you're listening to this. Happy Labor Day to you. We are officially in the month that training camp begins in the NBA. We will start having written articles for you at Action Network and the Action Network app. Lots of new updates coming in the Action Network app. You're going to want to check it out. We're going to start having more podcasts. I'll do all the insane in-depth things that I do with Brandon. Every year we'll do those. We'll get best bets from all the crew, and then we'll get into the season. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great season on Buckets. Glad you guys are with us. But there is basketball going on, and there's basketball you can bet on. There's basketball with futures. So to do that, filling in for Jim Turvey on the Future Jays tonight, I've got Bryan Fonseca at Bryan Fonseca NY on Twitter and the Action Network app. He's on his own YouTube page at Bryan Fonseca NY. Is it Bryan Fonseca NY on the YouTube page?
No, it's just my name. NY is everywhere else.
Just Bryan. That's what I thought. Just Bryan Fonseca, where he covers combat sports and international basketball of all types. Like, Bryan is a true sicko for the international game, and joining him in that sicko-dom is Joe Dellera. These two did an episode of the Cash That podcast where they broke down all sorts of stuff on Eurobasket as well. So go listen to that from Joe Dellera on the Cash That pod. But I want to get them on because I am, how can I put this? Reluctantly being pulled in to Eurobasket intrigue.
Yes.
It is. I want to be very clear on my position here. It is not like I don't like internet. Like, international basketball is very pleasing. Everybody passes. It's very good. Like, it's very good. I don't think of it as lesser. Like, some people are like, well, this is like, there's been comments about this of like when Keita has like Nemias Keita has a great game. It's like, well, at the next level, it's like, no. There's not like a next level of this. Like, Eurobasket is the level of this. Maybe FIBA. Yeah. Like, even Olympics are different than this, in my opinion. But it's just like, it's different. Like, international basketball, the NBA, college basketball, and G League, and Big Three, if you want to throw that in, are all fundamentally different. Like, the style of basketball is fundamentally different. And you could be great in one, and you could not great in others. And I'll talk about some of those guys with regards to those right now. But I do think it's interesting, and there is some opportunities to actually get some money down and find some value here. And particularly because one team was kind of rolling. The favorite looked very unstoppable, but there's an injury that has Bryan Fonseca a little concerned. We'll talk about that in just a second. Did want to let you know that you can save $20 a year on Action Pro with promo code BUCKETS20. You get instant pick updates from guys like Sean Kerner and Brandon Anderson. Like, when Brandon logs a future, you don't want to be behind it because the thing moves like that. So sign up for Action Pro, $20 on a year of Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code BUCKETS20, and you can get in on that great deal at Action Network. Okay. Bryan, an injury occurred that could have some NBA implications as well. It's an NBA player, but it's got you thinking that maybe the market hasn't adjusted enough to this injury information. Tell me who and why.
When Joe and I did our Eurobasket preview, which was 90 minutes long, by the way.
Hang on. When I try and get Brandon to stop completely destroying the lives of me and producer David Payne, and you guys do that, that does not help. It's a bad job by you. Bad job. This could have been an email.
Well, I was producing it. We were just going.
That tracks.
It was also we started at 11
late,
at night,
and it just like went so later. Like,
we just went just like an hour and just 90 minutes of talking. You're talking
every roster,
a bunch of names nobody even knows.
Listen, Kendrick Perry's not on the team this year.
Estonia.
Estonia. Yeah, we did every roster, every group, every scenario, damn near. And
okay, hang on.
Knockout stage preview coming soon once we get there. Before
we get to the guy who's injured, I want to quiz you. Okay,
who
is the best player on Estonia?
Like they all
Nobody.
They all are like not great, but I think he actually, I forget the
Absolutely
guy's name,
nobody,
but I think he was
honestly.
out for this. Like, I think he was out for this this game.
No, it doesn't matter because Estonia is not. They shouldn't make it into the next round. As a matter of fact.
I actually want to ask you this because an international fan,
Mm.
a person that lives overseas that I'm friends with, who's big into Eurobasket, he had this complaint, and I want to ask you guys: are there too many teams in Eurobasket?
I think it's okay.
No, I think 24 is good. 24 is good because in Europe you have a ton of countries. Obviously, the thing is, Europe sends 12 teams into the World Cup, which is a 32 team tournament. Europe tends to send the most teams into the Olympics. You saw that last year where it was like half the field made that up. So 24 is fine considering like the amount of good teams that are in it. Now, there are some like Estonia, for example, Portugal. I mean, they have Nemias Keita now, but like they're not typically one of like the best teams. Cyprus is only there because they're one of the 4 hosts. And ultimately, like they're not a team that should be on the tournament based on merit, but they're hosting it or whatever. But Europe has 47 teams. So I guess that's the sort of issue, right? It's like 24 of them make it to Eurobasket, but there are some good teams who did not qualify for Eurobasket. 2 of them are in a war. One of them not allowed to compete. The other one didn't qualify. So like, for example, like those are 2 teams who would like elevate the playing field, so to speak, because they're both ranked in the top 17 in Europe, for example. And then you have other teams like Hungary has had some like players in the past, I believe made it to the NBA as well. Like they're 22nd, but they're not in the top 24 for this tournament because Cyprus as a host gets a spot, but they're like barely in the top 40. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it is. I don't think there are too many teams. And I like the amount of basketball you get in this tournament, but comparatively they do have the most because the Asia Cup has 16, Afrobasket has 16, and the America Cup only has 12, which is interesting considering that the Americas send 7 teams into the World Cup, whereas Africa sends 5 and Asia sends 8. And that includes Australia and New Zealand, who are not technically in Asia, but they just lump them in because instead of having the Oceania Cup, where it's going to be Australia versus New Zealand every year because, what's Fiji going to do? Then like that's just kind of where it is. So I like 24 teams. I actually wish the America Cup would actually go to 16, but I get why people would say like, hey, Estonia might just get beat up on, for example.
I once bet on Fiji versus Brazil in World Cup soccer.
Beautiful. Love that.
And tried to sell it to my wife as there's a storied history in Fiji that you need to respect.
They've great.
They're great at
amazing
rugby.
Water.
They're awesome at rugby.
They are legitimately great at rugby. Okay, now I've teased enough. What's the injury for Serbia, and why do you reconsider this?
Bogdan Bogdanovic, friend of NBA fans who are sickos, ruptured hamstring muscle, out of the tournament. So people were like, "Oh, it's a hamstring injury." It's a ruptured hamstring. He's 33 years old. He's been in the NBA for a minute. Like this is a serious injury. Yeah. It's going to bleed into inevitably. Like it has to bleed into the NBA schedule. We don't have a timeline, so to speak, or any of those things. But it's a serious injury. Serbia was plus 125, plus 130-ish to win the tournament before the tournament started to win Eurobasket. They're plus 125 right now. There's like no adjustment there. And I get it. Serbia's deep. Nikola Jovic is on the team. Marko Guduric is on the team. Micic is on the team. And obviously Nikola Jokic. And other guys like Nikola Milutinov, who's played in a lot of international competitions for Serbia. But like, no adjustment at all. And I get it. Their group isn't awesome. Like, they're undefeated right now. They're 3-0. Turkey is the only real challenge left remaining. They were going to have 2 challenges in this group the entire time. They just navigated one of them with Latvia. They didn't even play that well, and they still won that game. Latvia hasn't had like a great tournament so far. They should be better than they've been. But they have an opportunity to still make it to the knockout stage. So I think with Bogdanovic, like, not that I'm looking to say, oh, Serbia's absolutely not going to win a tournament now. They still have Nikola Jokic. But if more is going to be placed on Nikola Jokic, are we just going to have a Denver Nuggets situation where he has to overcompensate and maybe he tires out toward the end of this? And it's like, what if Serbia runs into Germany a little bit earlier than expected? Or if Germany is the team that matches up with them in the semis or the finals, depending on how the brackets go. Like, and it's not just Germany. There are other teams in this tournament who are playing well, like Greece, for example, with Giannis. They don't have a lot other than Giannis, but it's Giannis plus shooting around him. You can get something done against Serbia. And these are 1-game sample size. Like I tell people all the time with these international competitions, same as the Olympics, same as the World Cup. Once you get out of group stage, it's March Madness. And once you get into March Madness, shit happens. I'll add this last point, though. The favorites have been winning in these tournaments this year. Doesn't happen all the time. It's happening this year. In the Asia Cup, the favorite was Australia. They were even money to win the whole thing. They won the tournament. They beat China by 1 point in the final in the gold medal game. And Australia is your Asia Cup champion. Geographically, don't ask any questions. This is just how it works. Afrobasket, Angola, and South Sudan were the favorites, tied. Angola won the tournament. They were also the hosts. South Sudan flopped, didn't even make it to like the quarterfinals. And then in the AmeriCup, Brazil just won the tournament. 5'9" Iago dos Santos MVP. They were the favorite in that tournament. Team USA, by the way, people may be curious, the Langston Galloway, Javante Smart led Team USA got bronze. Canada did a medal. But Canada was second shortest odds. They didn't medal. So, like, the favorites have been cleaning up here. We'll see what happens with Serbia. I think they should still be favored. I just don't think it should be plus 125. I think that number should have moved a little bit.
Yeah, so Joe, the other big name on Serbia, Petrovic, but honestly, the bigger one has been Nikola Jovic. Not Jokic, Jovic from Miami, the Heat. And he's been a plus-minus. He was a plus-minus darling for 2 seasons. And then last year, that went away, and he vanished pretty much. Like, he just, like, was no longer even, like, a steady rotation guy. It was, like, there was, like, stretches where it was, like, Jovic isn't really playing that much right now, which is crazy considering how much they valued him. And now he's having this kind of, like, breakout Eurobasket performance, but then he really kind of had a dud.
Latvia. So I think that had to do with the style of play that Latvia has. Like, Latvia really doesn't have a traditional big. Like, their big is Porzingis. And that is somebody that Jokic is just going to massacre, like, all game. And they're doing a lot of, they run, like, a ton of switch. They're really just, like, swarming players, like, when they can. And I don't think that it was, like, the best matchup for Jovic. I think that Jovic is actually going to play better. I think there's a lot of a bounce back opportunity off of that game. He had like 18 points in 3 consecutive games leading into that. And I think that this is a good bounce back opportunity for him. I think the Latvia matchup just was tough for him, given the fact that I think we were leaning but like Serbia was leaning more on Jokic, given the score and then also given the matchup where, like, you're going to switch Jovic out. Like, you just don't need him in that type of matchup, in that type of game plan. So I think that's a little bit more of what happened. He didn't have the ball as much. So I do think there's a little bit of a bounce back opportunity for him, especially without Bogdanovic. I think that he's going to see a little bit more of the bump for this Serbian team. But at the same time, I agree with Bryan. I think that this is a tougher spot for Serbia. I think that part of why we're seeing this number is because Germany still has, I think, a couple tougher games coming up. And I know they still have the Finland matchup. Both teams are 3-0 in the group. And Lauri Markkanen has been unconscious. Dude has just been absolutely unbelievable this tournament, like in the prelim games, then in the tournament. So I do think that there's, like, obviously a little bit of a chance there, but I mean, Germany looks good. And the thing about Germany is this team has been playing together like nonstop for really the last, Bryan, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like this group has been playing together for at least like 6 years with Schroeder, Franz, and Tice has been there. Obst has been there for a long time. Like, you're seeing like the same group of guys. Even the bench has been playing together. So they are a really good team. They have a lot of continuity, and they've shown that they are winners on an international level. So they're a team that I think is undervalued, and there's a 3-1 out there on Rivers, I believe, for them to. No, it's not there anymore. But there is a 3-1 in the market. There is a 3-1 in the market for them to win the gold, which I think is interesting still.
Yeah, I mean, look, Germany's just been they are rolling. Like Schroeder and Wagner are both just pouring in these performances, and they're the only team you can kind of identify that's got two of those guys who can take over a game. Now, it was interesting to me to see how much Jokic kind of carried Serbia in the last game, because that hasn't been his role on the Serbia team. Like I'm always like very confused as an NBA guy, where like this is even like 4 years ago, he was in MVP contention. It was like the year before. It was like he was in MVP contention and he was coming off the bench, and I was like losing my mind. I was like, what, like screaming, and everybody's like, well, the Nuggets don't want his minutes up. And I was like,
no, it really is weird. Like, he doesn't even dime that much for Serbia. So it's funny because like they keep posting his player, like his assist prop at like, I started to see some 6.5s, but like there's been like some 7.5s. I bet under 7.5 in one of the games. There's been like 8.5s. And then like people want to keep betting triple double because they say like, oh well, it's Jokic. Like of course he's gonna get a triple double. That is just not what he does for this team. So I mean.
No.
Yeah, and you're
also
seeing shorter games. They actually like stick to a relative like real rotation, and then they have I think the problem is too like nobody else can score on the team, like Bogdanovic to a degree, right, before he was hurt, but nobody else on the team is really scoring to the degree that Jokic can score. You get him the ball and he's like, I can score the basketball, whereas like some of these other players, like their role is basically get on the court, play some defense, and give the ball to Jokic. Like, that's their role. So, like, Jokic doesn't have the, like, even in, like, when he's playing in the NBA, like, he plays obviously with some guys that, aren't necessarily, like, top-notch scorers. They are still capable of like doing something with the basketball in a little bit more of an efficient way, where they want to run the entire offense through Jokic. Whereas with Serbia, they're like, no, like this is the offense we run, and Jokic is a piece of that. He is not the offense.
Talk me out of Finland. I
mean, I don't want to.
Because Finland is a long number. It is a very even the group winner, right? Because they gotta get past Germany. If Germany slips one time, though, Finland's in position there with the finisher, Lauri Markkanen.
I mean, Lauri's been insane, and the thing is about Finland that I like is they shoot a lot of threes, and they're basically just like, here you go. Like, you could do something, and Lauri has just been resting for the last, like, 3 fucking seasons to play in Eurobasket. So, like, he's playing great. Like, he's like, this is the most opportunity I've had to win. So, I think, honestly, like, this Finnish team... The Finnish team has probably won more games. Like, Lauri has been more impactful for the Finnish team in the last month than he has been for the Utah Jazz in who knows how long.
The problem is just the depth with them. I'm curious to see. So they have a player on their team who's going to be an NBA draft pick when he's eligible. He's not even eligible yet. He's in high school, I think, still. Mika Murinen, who doesn't play a ton. But he's kind of like some people think he could be an X factor for them moving forward. We'll see. I'm not going to trust a 17-year-old or 18-year-old, whatever he is, in like too big of a spot, but he's somebody who like he has obvious talent that pops. You even saw it last year in Olympic qualifying when they played in that tournament and lost. The thing with Finland that scared me off initially also, because we talked this out when we did our 90-minute live, and I was thinking about Finland as a long shot to medal potentially, but it has to be Lauri and just everyone else just shooting really well from 3. Let's also remember they're hosting this group. So moving forward, as the rest of the tournament heads out of Finland and goes to Latvia, Riga, what's going to happen there for Finland and losing that support, so to speak? Lauri has to keep it up. They are shooting 40% from 3. And in their group right now, if you just look at it, so they're in group B. They're probably not going to win their group, but they still do have to play Germany. And they're positioned to play Germany last. That's a road game for Germany, ultimately. Germany doesn't give a shit about that, but that's a road game for Germany. And listen, if you win the group, you get a more favorable matchup in the next round, because the way things can break, if Finland wins the group, for example, you're going to get the fourth place team from Group A. And that right now would be Estonia. I don't think it's going to be Estonia at the end of it. It's probably going to be Czech Republic, Portugal, somebody like that. Not Serbia, Latvia, or Turkey.
I mean, the problem is that realistically, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that because of their group, they're in Group B. If they come in second, I think they're on the same side of the bracket as Serbia, most likely. So you're going to be playing Serbia in like the semifinals if you make it there, presumably. So that's.
By the way, you might get Latvia.
Because A3 is going to probably be Latvia, and if it's not Latvia, it's going to be like maybe Portugal, who's been like really good lately with Keita, has been like pretty solid. Like no matter how you cut it, like it's not going to be a great path to a medal opportunity.
Okay, all right. I think so. Germany's probably still valued. I think we're in agreement here that Serbia is just overvalued currently.
A little bit, but they honestly still like.
Yeah, I mean, they're still the best team, right? Like, it's not about like they're still the best team. It's just I don't know.
But Jovic is their second best player now.
Yeah,
and is he ready for this? I loved Jovic pre-draft. Okay, like when he was in Mega Basket, right before the Heat drafted him and fucked around with his role for 3 straight years, and then he got hurt. Like, it feels like this year is the year he can put it all together. But at the same time, he had his big 2 games in Eurobasket so far against bad teams, or weaker teams.
Yeah,
he didn't show up against Latvia, and people will say, "Oh, if you watch the game," I watched the game. Like, we don't have to be a hipster about it. He disappeared. He didn't. You have to go get the ball now. Like, you're the other guy on the team. You have to go get the ball now. You have to make plays. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Latvia could be a better. Turkey could be a better matchup for him. We'll see, but like that's going to be the test now for Serbia, and I do think. I don't know how. Like, if Serbia were to play Germany today, Joe, what should the line be?
It's not going to be. It's going to be Serbia like -2, but it probably should be. I think it should be a pick'em, or like Germany -1.
I think it'll be more than. I think it would be like 3.5
over a possession.
And I would be. I mean,
I think the question a lot of times Germany with this, and like we're kind of seeing it because I know we're going to talk about Luka, I think, soon. But like if you look at this, right, like there's a temptation a lot of times to go and say, well, like the best team or the best player by like margin is on this team, because we're seeing it with Giannis, we're seeing it with Luka, but at the same time, like. The Slovenian team is so bad. Like, they don't even have Mike Toby anymore. And like the rest of the team is just not there. I thought that maybe Luka could elevate them to a degree, but it's still just, I think it's just too tall of a task right now. And then, you see Giannis, but the Greek national team has a lot of like European professionals that are very, very good, very, very solid. And they've played together for a long time and they just know their role. Like, they're just like, Giannis is going to run down the court like a madman, and we're just going to throw the ball up, and it's going to work. And that's kind of one of the differences. So I think the question is, though, for Serbia, if you were looking between Serbia facing off against Germany, like how big is the margin between Jokic and then Schroeder, Franz, and then honestly, like you could argue, like and then like
Şengün.
What is the gap? Like, how big is the gap? And then how far away is like the rest of the team? And I think that's kind of the question, because Germany's pretty deep. And it's not like Serbia obviously has talent. They've won without Jokic before. But still, it's...
But even when they had Jokic in the last Eurobasket, they lost in the round of 16 to Italy. And the team that won that tournament was Spain, who, I mean, yes, they're historically a machine, but Spain, we've talked about this.
No.
Not the same in the World Cup in 2023. Even when they qualified to the Olympics last time out, they like barely did. And they've they got a favorable matchup against a young Bahamian team who wasn't even like ready yet. Like VJ Edgecombe was playing in that before playing in college, for example, and showed out, by the way. And when they won in Eurobasket, their best two players were the Hernan Gomez's. Like, it wasn't like overwhelming talent. They're in the same position now. You know what I mean? They're like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it doesn't matter who's on the team. They're just always kind of going to be around, competitive or whatever. Like, so the talent should matter. It matters more in the NBA than it does here, especially with the smaller sample sizes.
I agree with that. I don't know. Petrosev, I think he probably can play a little bit better too. I don't think he's hit what he can really do. You mentioned him there. We're going to talk a little bit about Luka Doncic and the Los Angeles Lakers. So Slovenia, unlikely, I think, to go anywhere in this tournament. Though they are shorter odds still than Finland, I would note.
They'll advance.
They should make it to the knockout stage, but
sure, they'll advance, but I don't see him going much further than that. Even though Luka's putting up what I refer to as Luka in a loss numbers. His history in the NBA playoffs of, oh my God, Luka Doncic is 49 and 17.
It will set up. Actually, I have to say this because right now, if Slovenia is in fourth in Group D, it sets up a Giannis Luka matchup in the round of 16 in the knockout round, which is just because Greece probably is going to win this group. Yeah. That would be fun. Yeah. That will be must watch basketball.
But Luka with the Los Angeles Lakers, Luka with the new body, the new slimmer body, which my take on it is essentially I don't know that he needs it. So Luka needs better endurance so he doesn't gas out, and he needs better conditioning, which puts less strain on soft tissue so that he doesn't suffer minor injuries, which can keep him out longer with his conditioning. The conditioning problem is still going to exist because he's always been a guy that plays himself out of shape, which is very rare in the NBA, but that has to do a lot with his habits, right? He enjoys his off time, as many of us do. But the Lakers are plus 190 to win their division, with the Clippers plus 110 in the market. And we had a big debate after all this. It was me and Sean and Brandon on an episode, and I was saying it was when the next year's odds first came out, and I said, it's 20-1 right now, and it's got to go down. And they were like, yeah, but you need to wait and see. And they also said you'll never see 20-1 again. And then we actually did, it was there for a brief moment, but now it has vanished. It's at a 17-1 in the market for them to win the NBA title. I do think it's interesting where the odds are at one book, where it's the Western Conference is the big three. It's Thunder plus 240, Nuggets plus 850, Rockets plus 900 to win the title. And then the Lakers are next at plus 1700, but they are behind. They're tied with the Magic. Do the Lakers or the Magic have a better chance of winning the NBA title? I think it's an interesting question. Brian, I'll ask you.
It's the Magic, by the way.
Do what?
Easily. At least I have more confidence that the Magic can get there.
Yeah, but that's the thing here. Is it's a lot of it's how tough do you think the West is? Is the West as tough as it's advertised? Is the East as bad as it's advertised? And then does it matter? Because especially if you're you can bet conference, but if you're betting title, you got to win the thing. You got to win. If it's Magic Lakers, who are you going to want to have money on?
Orlando might have the number one defense.
Sure. Are you going to want Paolo and Franz and Desmond Bain against LeBron and Luka Doncic?
The problem is it doesn't matter. Because at that 41? Point you're in the finals. My thing is though, at that point, you're in the finals.
That's what I'm saying.
If the Lakers make it to the finals, I don't give a shit. You got Luka and LeBron. It works. It works.
How are the Lakers?
But it doesn't matter. But that's not the question. The question is, if it's the Lakers with LeBron and Luka against the fucking Orlando Magic, I'm gonna want the Lakers.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not all the way on the Lakers side in that one.
So okay, let's go down this route. Okay. Yeah. So why doesn't the new body move you on this? Do you think LeBron is washed?
Because I cover boxing and I hear dudes say I'm in the best shape of my life all the time and still get knocked out. I don't give a shit what shape you're in. Okay. Ultimately, is Luka still like the things you don't like, Matt, about Luka Doncic is what Orlando in this hypothetical can get out of him. Because the way they play defense, he's going to fucking whine. He's going to complain. He's going to be off his game. He's going to have 8 turnovers. And I'm super pro Luka Doncic, but like the dude complains a lot. Sure. The second most to him is LeBron James. Yeah. And Orlando's going to just piss them off if they were to play in this hypothetical finals. I didn't think we'd be here. If they're going to play in this hypothetical finals in 2026. You know what I mean? And just with me, I'm always tempted to be like, wait, what team has like, I think Orlando probably will have the best defense in the Eastern Conference this year.
The question I think is interesting though, right? Because I feel like this is one of those things where people make the mistake when they're doing like NCAA tournament brackets in particular, right? So you'll say like, oh, like this is a really trendy like underdog. Like I think that this team could win. I think this team could advance, and like they get to like a certain level and then they get absolutely fucking steamrolled because they don't belong there anymore. And I think that that's the thing. So it's like if you think the East is bad, relatively bad, and like one of the top teams doesn't come out of the East, then I don't care like who they're playing out of the Western Conference. They're probably going to get steamrolled because the West is really good. They're really deep. And I think that like unless a top Eastern Conference team comes out of it, they're going to be in a world of hurt against whoever they come out playing in the Western Conference.
I mean, It's an Ouroboros, right? It's a snake eating its tail, because the problem is it's like, well, if the Magic or whatever random team that isn't the Cavs gets to the finals, the Lakers can beat them. And it's like, well, yeah, but the Lakers are going to have to go through all of the things that validate them making it for you to win this bet, which I get. Bryan, my thing is just like, look, bad things befall all sorts of great teams, and we've seen it happen to literally every champion since 2018. So if some team comes up and bites OKC on the ass and then runs into a matchup, and I also say this, the Thunder were very, very, very happy that the trade happened because they don't want to deal with Luka at all. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, we don't have to deal with Luka and that defense. I don't have to worry about that. Right. And now like Davis is out. I don't have to worry about Davis and LeBron and Luka, but LeBron is like a different type of problem for them. But Luka still, if Ayton is anything, I did make this argument in an article.
If Ayton,
well, no, but this is a thing though, where if you take the names off of the jerseys, okay, you don't have the hype. You don't get DeAndre Ayton, former #1 pick, starting center for a finals team in the Suns. Marcus Smart, former defensive player of the year. But you also lose all of the stuff that comes along with him, which is you lose like, yeah, but Ayton doesn't give a shit, doesn't try, and he's lazy. And all of his teammates have hated him. And with Marcus Smart, like he might be washed and like all of these types of things, right? If you take both of it away, though, and you just look at archetype and you go, you gave Luka Doncic a great pick and roll center who can capably play drop defense. And you gave Luka Doncic a veteran defender who is still highly disruptive according to every single metric. Like when you start looking at this in terms of like what team did they build, it looks better. It doesn't look as good as I think it should. They should have done more.
I agree with that.
But
I don't think it looks that awesome. It's better, but
okay. So a big thing with Ayton, honestly, this is like an important argument. I was talking about this on the LA radio. If you ask me like what's the biggest factor for Ayton not being what he was in Portland, it's genuinely Luka. In that, in Phoenix, he was never embraced, ever. Monty Monty Williams used him to bring the rest of the team together. Like they bullied him to be like, don't be like that fucking guy. Right?
Oh, that's fucked up.
And Cam and Book and CP3. And you could think like, well, I like those guys because I like toughness. Fine. But you're trying to figure out how to get the most out of Ayton because the talent's there. Like, the talent is there.
Correct.
Like, he's not an untalented guy. And then in Portland, you have all of the Portlandness of that situation, right? Like, a lot of questions with Portland. If Luka Doncic, who is friends with Ayton and has a personal relationship with him, and he rejected Porzingis, which is a big reason he underperformed. Those two did not click because Luka was never like, I love playing with this dude. If Luka just like embraces Ayton, puts his arm around him, is like, you're my guy. Like, you and I are going to score 1 billion points. They cannot stop us in pick and roll. And if JJ puts his arm around him, that may be all you need, because Ayton's never been in that kind of a position. And if you're like, well, he shouldn't need that, I don't disagree. I like guys that like toughness. I like guys that like adversity, but they're not all like that, and they're not all as talented as Ayton. You see what I'm saying?
Do you think LeBron will embrace him?
Yes, because LeBron embraced J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I think also like LeBron.
That's an interesting parallel.
Well, I'm okay. So what's
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm like,
So think about it, right? Like, JR was a knucklehead. He was an incredible screw around guy.
Yes,
but he had talent, and LeBron knew, like, to him, he was a real one. That was like the funniest part of that entire sequence was they traded for Iman Shumpert, and I was like, holy shit, what a get. Iman's like a great defender. Like, he is an elite defender. This is awesome. And LeBron was like, yeah, I don't care about him. Get JR. And he knew, and he played.
Second option on a 54-win playoff team.
So I'm not sitting here going, like, I'm not rushing out to bet the 1,700. But I am kind of wondering if there is an underappreciation, Joe, of what the Lakers are capable of based off of the type of team that they built rather than the...
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have two players that in a series, like, are probably going to be the best duo in the series. There are going to be very few series where you can even have an argument that they're not the best duo in the series. So I think that that's important. And I think that you're able to have a lot of flexibility. LeBron plays like literally every position. Luka is an outsized or like a mismatch because of his size in terms of what he plays. So even if he's not like the most nimble, or so to speak, it does create, he can kind of insulate himself a little bit because he's big. It's like the exact difference. You know, it's like Jalen Brunson is, I had to make this a Knicks thing. Jalen Brunson is small, and that's part of the problem. Like, you can only hide some of the defensive miscues to a certain degree because he's small. Whereas Luka, like, yeah, he has defensive miscues, or like he's not the best defensive player, but if he locks in just like a little bit, he's big. Like, he's a body. Like, he's got some height. He's got some size. You can't just post him up out of like nowhere with anybody. And I think that you can mask some of those defensive deficiencies with this Lakers roster. So, like, you never know. You never know if they're going to pull something out of their ass like they always seem to, because that's just the kind of franchise that they are. But maybe they add some more pieces come like the season, as the season progresses, as they get towards the trade deadline. You really don't know, but there are only so many more LeBron James years, as like unfortunate as it is to say. And you have to wonder, like, how is the team going to really manage that? Are they going to really try to sell out to win this year? Are they really going to try to sell out maybe to win next year if things are going well? Or is it just kind of one of those things where they say, well, we got a pretty long runway with Luka Doncic. We're not going to worry about it as much on an individual basis because we're the Lakers. We're going to make a lot of money no matter what.
Bryan, are you more interested in I gotta see this. Hang on. Lakers no to make the playoffs plus 320.
No. I'm not going that far. My issue with them is just, one, I still have questions about their defense ultimately. Like, historically, over the last really damn near forever, you need a top 11 defense to be an NBA champion outside of 2 seasons. The 2 seasons are the second Kobe and Shaq year. They had Shaq, who was the best player in the league, and I think that was the year he was hurt and missed a bunch of games. The other year is Denver from a couple years ago. They also had the best player in the league. They were also a better defense down the stretch of the year and in the playoffs than they were in the first couple months of the season. And they finished in the teens. Indiana would have been just outside that. Some would argue they could have won the NBA championship if not for a Tyrese Halliburton injury, but also I mean, their defense was better than people thought at times. I think with the Lakers, it's just the competition out west. I do think maybe people are borderline overrating it a little bit, but like it just is deeper, is the real thing. Like in the East, I think there's a clear like 2-tier of teams where it's like Knicks, Cavs tier 1, Hawks, Magic tier 2, and like I don't know how you get to anyone else barring something kind of crazy. Whereas with the West, I could talk myself into the Rockets. I could obviously talk myself into Oklahoma City again, Denver. The Lakers, I can talk myself into them. I don't know if I will, but like, let's see how the first 20, 25 games look. Minnesota, I could probably talk myself into, although admittedly, I'm not as excited about it as maybe some people would be, but there's a pathway there. They have a resume. They have Anthony Edwards as well, which helps. And then Clippers, Golden State are kind of on the fringes of that, but those are still, I think, good NBA teams, although there are questions there. I like what the Clippers did in the offseason. We'll see what happens with the team, but and then with Golden State, they're still kind of thin, and this Kuminga situation is still lingering. Draymond Green said in a video with Jimmy Butler today, because they were working out together, yeah, we're getting that this year, that title, and that's just talk, but like Golden State is a team where it's like, all right, full season of Jimmy Butler, maybe it's better, but they're also like at the end, like this is it for them. So I also feel like Golden State is a team where I'd be like, if I'm investing in them, same with the Lakers, I'm investing with the idea of, a trade deadline move could be coming that makes this better, because those are two front offices I would expect to be aggressive in some form. The same could be said for maybe a couple of the other teams I mentioned. So that's in their favor as well. Whereas with the East, Orlando might have already made their move. We'll see. And it's tough to say about the others. Like, what else could the Knicks possibly do at this point? It's like they're locked in. Cleveland maybe could do something. Atlanta maybe could do something. But and then I haven't even brought up Philadelphia. But like I don't know what to do with that team. I have no idea. So there's that.
So I actually have numbers on this that I'm going to be going over in a future episode. I pulled the top. No team outside of the top 3 has won the title, except for twice in NBA history. One in 1995 and one in 1969. If you're a listener of Buckets, you know I've been harping on this. If you're not a top 3 seed, you don't win the title. You can make the finals, can't win the title. So I pulled the last 10 seasons of the top 3 seeds, and I looked at them from all sorts of different factors I'll talk about. But getting to your point, the average offensive rating rank, if you were not top 10 in defense in the Western Conference, was 2.8. So what that means is if you were not a top 10 defense in the Western Conference and you got a top 3 seed, you had to be a top 3 offense in the NBA league-wide.
Yeah.
You had to be a top 3 offense. So, like, that's a starting question here is if you're going to bet the Lakers to win the title, you either have to believe that they're going to be a top 10 defense, and if you don't, you have to believe that they're going to be a top 3 offense.
I think they could be. They could be a top 3 offense.
They could. You can make that argument. You can.
The offense is more likely, I think, than the defense.
But that's like the pathway for them.
Ideally, though, if you're like a real rock solid contender, you'd be both. You know, or like you'd be top something in both. Ideally,
yes.
Milwaukee is a team. Milwaukee is a team that I left out, by the way, that I feel like is probably worth a mention here. Although
there's just like I don't think it's realistic to be like the Lakers are going to win 60 games this year. I don't think it's realistic. But if you're like they won 55 plus games with the 12th best defense, and even that seems high, but the 12th best defense and
third best offense.
Yeah,
the third best offense.
That's a contender. That's a real contender.
Yeah. All right, it's got to do it for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Future Jays returns next week. I'll have more programming scheduled. We're going to get started with actual episodes. I'm going to actually get my shit in gear and put together some content plans for our offseason heading into training camp at the end of the month. I can't believe it's at the end of the month. It's crazy. We're there. We're making it. All right, thanks for joining us. Download the Action Network app right now. Follow Joe Dellera on Twitter at Joe Dellera in the Action Network app. Go subscribe to Cash That. Go check out Bryan. Subscribe to his YouTube page at Bryan Fonseca. Catch them talking all things Eurobasket throughout this insane tournament. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.